Hello, welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is part 9 of the overview and research for the program. In our last section, we reviewed a variety of songs and activities that can be used to work with children in manipulating sounds, deleting onsets, deleting rhymes, replacing them, putting them back together, and getting faster and faster and more automatic in that process. In this section, we're going to move to the next natural stage of language development. So looking at our stages once more, we have started out with gesturing, then we have moved on to vowels and then consonants, and now what we're doing is we're going to move on to single words so the children will actually start to read and write real words. It's interesting that when babies are first learning to speak, there's a huge celebration when they speak their first word, and mom's going, "My child spoke their first word today, listen to what they said." But when it comes to reading, we seem to have this expectation that through the use of little books, children will start right out reading their first sentence, and we don't seem to have the same kind of celebration that we had when they produced their first spoken word, when they produce their first written word. And I think we should be celebrating when children are reading their first written words. So we're going to be taking a look at that next. The way that we're going to approach having children read and write their first word is through drawing and labeling. Again, when we look back at that fourth grade slump, one of the reasons for the fourth grade slump is that children have been trained to depend on pictures for comprehension and word recognition, and then when we take the pictures away, there's nothing left. So what we need to do is train children so that when they read a word, they create a picture in their mind, so that even in books that have no pictures, the child still sees pictures. So the best way to do that is to teach the children how to draw and then label all of the first words that they read and write. This is a picture of Milton Glazier with President Obama. And Milton Glazier was the first graphic designer to be awarded the National Medal of Arts. And he wrote a book about drawing called Drawing is Thinking. And in his book about drawing, he tells this story. He says when he decided to draw a portrait of his mother at about 17 or 18 years old, he realized that even though he had seen her every day of his entire life, he had no idea what she looked like. So what he had to do in order to do her portrait was to have her come and sit for her portrait. But by him drawing her while she was sitting there, he developed a visual image in his mind so that later when he thought of his mom, he could have a picture in his mind of what his mom looked like, and if he chose to, he could draw her without her sitting for her portrait. This is the first word that I teach my children how to draw and label. The first thing we want to do before drawing and labeling is in every lesson in animated literacy, we want to create a context. And we've talked about the power of context in learning. So we start out by simply talking about pups. And so we can take and hold up a picture or a toy puppy, and we can ask kids questions like, have you ever seen a puppy? Where did you see that puppy? Who did the puppy belong to? What kinds of things was that puppy doing? So that we're accessing our prior knowledge. Then we can expand on that prior knowledge by reading literature that has the object of the lesson in it. Now, when you're first teaching animated literacy, you may not have a book for every lesson. So if you don't, you could simply reverse accessing prior knowledge and reading to the children and read a quality story on any subject, and then turn around and have the children access their prior knowledge. But when you're looking for a book, it doesn't matter if you find a book that has a very clear link to whatever it is that you're drawing. When I was working with apples and bananas, I first looked for books about apples and bananas, which is very obvious. But then I realized this is about eating something really silly, and the old lady who swallowed a fly was the silliest story I could come up with. So now I use the old lady who swallowed a fly as one of my stories for leading in to apples and bananas. So we want to foster creativity, and it said that creative people are people who find links that other people missed. So don't worry about finding a really strong link. It's especially powerful if you can find those links that no one else has discovered. Dr. Seuss's very first and easiest book is Hop on Pop. And it starts out with these two words, up, pup. And those are real easy words for the children to gesture and say back to you. So I go, up, pup, and I pretend to pet my pup, and the kids point up and they pretend to pet their pup. Then I can go, petting my pup again, pup is up, and they repeat that back to me. Now, I was really pleased when I discovered that Dr. Seuss and I used the same first two words to teach children to read and write. So the first words I teach children are up and pup, and the first words in his simplest book are up and pup. Then he recognized the power of the word pup, and almost all children speak pup among their first words. So he wrote an entire story about up, and this story is easy for us to gesture as well. So if you say it back to me and copy my gestures, it would be something like this. Up, up, the pup, the sun, so we can make our sun, is getting up. Up, ear number 1. Up, ear number 2. Wake every person, pig and pup, till everyone on earth is up. Except for me. Please go away. No up. I'm sleeping in today. So that's a very abbreviated version of Dr. Seuss's story. But this one is another great one to model the word up. When I'm reading to children, I want some books that they can go back and memorize and read to themselves right away. And so Hop on Pop would fit that category. But I also want books for them to grow into where they get to hear a lot of vocabulary that they would not hear in oral conversation. So this is a great book for that, called Up, Up, Up. It's apple picking time. And it begins with these wonderful words. Up, up, up. So say that back to me. Up, up, up. It's apple picking time. It's apple picking time. Mama's voice tickles my ear, whispers me awake. Isn't that great language? All of the adjectives on this page are included in that one book, and all of these verbs are included in that one book. So I'm bombarding children with tons of vocabulary, and then when we get into our more advanced labeling, and we're labeling the parts of our pup and finding words to describe them, we can use adjectives from this book. When we're naming ways that those parts can move, we can use verbs from this book. And now we can begin to advance children's vocabulary development. So after we have set the context for our lesson by accessing prior knowledge and reading books, then I do a step-by-step process of teaching the kids how to draw a pup. These were sent to me from a preschool in Kansas after I had done a 2-day workshop there, and the teachers were teaching their kids how to draw a picture of a pup. Here's a couple pictures from my kindergarten classroom that were drawn on the second day of kindergarten. So now I want to take you through the process that I used to teach my kids how to draw that picture of a pup. So when you're drawing, the method that I'm using for drawing comes from Mona Brooks' book, Drawing with Children. And I went to several workshops with Mona Brooks. I literally could not draw a thing until I studied with Mona Brooks, and she taught me her techniques. Then one year I decided I'm going to draw my way through the toy box. So I spent an entire year trying to figure out how I could draw the pictures of the manipulatives that I was using to teach kids how to read and write. And what I discovered was, just through the use of manipulatives, I was reasonably successful teaching my kids how to read and write words when I was teaching first grade. But when I moved to kindergarten and I simply matched a printed word to a manipulative, the kids could read it that day, but they would come back the next day and they had no idea that they had already read that word. So there was no retention of the words that I was teaching them until I started drawing. As soon as I started drawing, they could remember the words that I had taught them how to read and write the previous day, the next day, and they could still remember the following day, and on and on. So the difference between my kids remembering how to read words and not reading words was the ability to draw those words. So we want to put a visual image in the child's mind. When Mona Brooks draws, she has the children use a Papermate Flair pen for their drawing, and I do the same thing. She draws on a big chart. When I'm drawing with children, I simply take a clipboard and I draw on the same size paper using the very same pen that my kids are using so that transference won't be a problem. I'm going to draw on a larger piece of paper here so that you can see it more easily. So in terms of the logistics of the process, I'll take just regular paper that you would use in a copy machine and pass out a sheet to each child. Then I pass out their pens. Now, some of these kids don't have pens and paper at home. After drawing, I said to the kids one year, well, if you don't have time to color your picture here at school, you can take it home and color it. And my kids said, well, I don't have crayons at home. And I anticipated that, so I had crayon boxes available. I said, I'll give you a crayon box and you can keep it. They said, Mom will throw them away. And I asked why, and they said, because little brother draws on the walls. So they could have a TV set, they could have a tablet, they could have all these electronics, but they weren't allowed crayons and pens because somebody would have to supervise those. So we need to recognize that some children don't have these kinds of things at home. So when I pass out their paper, I have them put their paper in front of them, and I want the kids to be sitting where they can just simply look down at their paper and look up at me. So if they're using lap boards or if their desks or tables are organized so that they're facing you, that's perfect. Then I say to them, now I'm going to hand you a pen. When I hand you your pen, do not take the cap off. Hold it up in your ready position. So I have them hold it up high in the air. These pens are safe when their hands are up high in the air. Then I say, now, while your pen is up in the air, put your other hand up, and on the count of 3, we're going to take our cap off, but we're not going to do anything with it yet. So 1, 2, 3, take your cap off. Now on the count of 3, we're going to put the cap on the other end and give it a push. So we go 1, 2, 3, and they shove their cap on the other end. If you don't do that, because the caps are round, they're going to set it somewhere, it's going to fall on the floor, and if you're dealing with a number of children at the same time, they're all going to pounce on top of each other trying to get to that cap. So when I say show me your ready position, that means pens are up in the air. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go step by step drawing, and as I draw on my paper, they draw on their paper. So while everybody's in their ready position, I go, okay, first thing I want you to do is come up near the top of your paper, and I want you to draw 2 circles for eyes. When you finish your 2 circles, show me your ready position again. Now I want you to come down between the or let's see, before we do that, I want you to draw a pupil in each eye. Now a pupil is a little dot. You can put your dot at the bottom of your circle, the top of your circle, the side, or in the middle, wherever you want. So I think I'll put mine here at the bottom, but you can put your pupil anywhere you want. Now show me when you're ready to draw a nose. So I go show me, and I point to my nose. So that means they're going to be comprehending this even if they don't speak a word of English. So this is a great lesson as a second language lesson as well. Let's make another circle here in the middle for a nose, and then show me your ready position. Oh, I like the way everybody's pens are up in the air. Now show me when you're ready to draw a mouth. And again, I point to the mouth. I'm going to make a curved line from the bottom of the nose up this way, and another curved line over here. And then show me when you're ready for whiskers. Now for whiskers, we're going to make some little dots, but I don't want you to pound with your pen because that'll ruin the tip on your pen. Dots are tiny circles that have been filled in. So make some little tiny circles and color them in, and you can choose how many dots or how many whiskers you want. Now show me when you're ready for a tongue. You're ready to stick out your tongue. Let's come over here by the mouth and make a curve that goes all the way over to this side. Now show me when you're ready for a head. Oh, I like the way your pens are up in the air. And you can control the speed. I'm going relatively fast here, but you can go as slow as you need to. Let's make a nice circle all the way around the face. And then show me when you're ready for ears. Oh, I like the way your pens are back up in the air. I'm going to start from the top of the scalp and make kind of a wiggly ear all the way down to the chin. Then I'm going to go back up to the top of the scalp and another wiggly ear all the way down to the chin. But you can make your ears any shape that you like. After you finish your ears, show me your ready position again. Show me when you're ready for legs. Now I'm going to come from this ear all the way down across and up to this ear, and then put a straight line down the middle. Now show me when you're ready for paws. Oh, I like the way your pens are back up in the air. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 straight lines on this side, and 1, 2, 3 over here, and show me when you're ready for a tail. Oh, I like the way your pens are back up in the air. I'm going to make a big fat tail on my puppy, but you can put any size tail or shaped tail that you want on your pup. Now I want everybody to know that I drew a picture of a pup. So how are they going to know that? We're going to need to write a word. So now I would have introduced the entire story for Polly Panda and Uncle Upton and sang their song and had a whole lesson for each of those characters prior to doing this. So there's been a lot of exposure to Polly Panda's sound. So now I say to the kids, everybody listen to how I say pup, say it after me, and then show me the first sound you hear in pup. Everybody say pup. Again, pup. What sound did you hear first? Show me. And everybody should, and then I go, oh, I like the way you're painting. Even if nobody's painting, I still go, I like the way you're painting. So now they know what it is that I want them to do. So now we're going to talk about how to draw the letter P. So we look up at the board and we find Polly Panda's picture and we see that she spells her sound with a P. So let's make a straight line down, then come back up to the top of your straight line and make a half circle coming around this way. So Polly Panda spells her sound with a P. Now let's listen again and see if you can hear the next sound. Everybody say, pup. Oh, I like the way you're pointing up. So again, even if no one is pointing up, I compliment them for what I want them to do, and then they do that. Okay, so now let's start back up here next to the U. Make a straight line down, curve at the bottom, go straight back up, and then fall back down. Show me when you're ready for the last sound. Oh, I like the way your pen's up in the air again. Everybody say the word once more. Say, pup. Oh, I like the way you're painting again. How did we do that? Let's make a straight line down, come back up to the top, and add a curve. Now let's put our word pup in a nice circle like a balloon so it doesn't float away, and then tie your string to the pup. Now, a lot of times when an artist draws something, they give it a title. So in my school, we were using a book that I showed you earlier, where the first word in their book was the, and every page had the next to a word. So the kids were supposed to read the boots, the coat, and from the use of that book, they're supposed to use the word the. I think this provides a much better context for teaching the word the. So now I say to my kids, when an artist draws a picture, they often give it a title. Let's call our picture the pup. So let's see how we're going to write the. Now this gives me an opportunity to teach uppercase letters as well as the lowercase letters we used to label the pup. It's because many titles are written with uppercase letters. So let's see how we can write the. Let's make a capital T with a straight line down, and then come and put a straight line on top of it. Now let's make a capital H. Let's come with a straight line down, put another straight line next to it, and then put a straight line in the middle. Now let's write a capital E. For E, we're going to make a straight line down, then we're going to come back up to the top, make a straight line sticking out, come to the middle, make a straight line sticking out, go to the bottom and make a straight line sticking out. And T-H-E spells the. So we're not going to worry about decoding or anything. We'll just treat that as a sight word. Now let's write pup underneath. So just like we did before, let's make a straight line down, make a half circle. Now for a U, we come all the way up so it's just as tall as the P. So it almost looks like a bowl or something. Okay, and then we're going to make our P again with a straight line down and a curve. And what does that say? The pup. So now I want everybody to hold your pen back up in the air. And on the count of 3, I want you to take the cap off the back, turn your pen around, put your cap on. Now hold your picture up on top of your head and hold your pen right next to it. And if this is a group of kids, I go around and collect the pens as quickly as I can. Now you can take and turn your paper over on the back, and you can draw your pup again. And this time you can draw it any way you want. And put some characters with it. So do you want to be with your pup? Do you want someone else to be with your pup? Is there a cat with your pup? Is there another pup with your pup? So add some characters. Then add a setting. Do you want your pup to be at the park? Is he in your house? Is he in the yard? What kind of day is it? Is the sun out? Is it nighttime? Is the moon out? So the kids add some ideas to the back of their page to start to make it into a story. Then I might ask them, what is your pup doing? Is he playing with a ball? Is he chasing a cat? Then I can go around and ask each child to tell me about their picture. So the child might say, my pup is playing ball. My pup is at the park. And whatever the kids tell me, I just simply on the back of their page, I take the dictation, I write that down, then I have the kids read it back to me again, and now they're seeing how we can start to put words into a sentence to describe what it is that we draw. So that's the first drawing, and then we come back and the next day we introduce children to Ollie Ostrich, and then we put that together with P to draw a picture of a pop, and then we can introduce them to Mimi Mermaid. We can put the M in front of the O and at the back of it and teach them how to draw a mom. So every time the kids get a new sound and a new spelling, we have a drawing that we can do to go along with that. So now we start to kind of go back and forth, where one day they're getting a new character, the next day they're applying that character sound to draw and read and write a new word. Then the next day they get a character, then the next day they get a drawing. So thank you very much for joining me for our drawing lesson, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next session.